Are you ready to go around the world? Sit back, relax, and buckle your seatbelt as we take off for an adventure. It's jet-lag free but filled full of fun and travel insights. The only thing you'll need to pack is a sense of humor. Time for the award-winning travel show, Around the World.
Greetings, Globetrotters and armchair travelers. Welcome to Around the World. I'm Arthur von Wiesenberger. Sitting next to me in the co-pilot seat, or maybe it's the pilot seat.
I want to be the boss today.
You are the boss. She's a bossy girl. We're going to find out all about how bossy she is and whether she'd be fun to travel with, because we're going to be talking about Love Match. That's about traveling and intimacy. Something we've done. No, not the intimacy together. Part, but the traveling part we've done together with our significant others. Yeah. And we've got a wonderful guest coming on, Dr. Shaelyn Pham, who is a clinical psychologist out of Los Angeles that works with couples as far as getting their relationship on fire again, and also talking about how to travel and build relationships through travel and through communication.
Figure out if you can even have a relationship, and traveling together is a good way to find that out.
We're going to find out all about that. And then if you're thinking about retiring, a lot of people are. They're all hitting that magic number of 49 again. You might be thinking, well, where do I want to retire? Do I want to stay where I am and pay these incredible high prices of Santa Barbara, California? Or do I want to go to somewhere different? Maybe Costa Rica, maybe Mexico, maybe Cambodia. Yeah. Well, we've got Jennifer Stevens is the executive editor of International Living, who's going to be coming on and telling us all about some of the places that you might want to consider, even if it's not for a full-time retirement, just a part-time visitation. Right. Pied a terre. Yep, it might be a way to save some bucks. Yep. Later on, one of the greats. She's in studio. She's back, folks.
The cat is back.
The cat is back. Cat Pollen's going to be in telling us all about a wonderful destination in Switzerland, one of the great jet-setter centers, really, and she is the top jet-setter that I know, Gstaad, Switzerland.
In the summertime, though.
In the summertime. Maybe a little bit of winter, too, just because I got to figure out about skiing. Yeah. I've been skiing there. I love it. And then finally, Martha Bull's taking us down to Spain and her continuing odyssey of her Spanish adventures, where you found some Spanish fly. And no, you didn't find Spanish fly, huh? No. But where did we go?
We went to Marbella and we went to Madrid.
And you went to Madrid. And you're going to tell us some good tips about places to stay and things to do when you go down to Spain. We got that and much, much more in this edition of Around the World. But first, it's time for travel news.
Travel news is brought to you by the internet website, atw.tv. atw.tv is the first place to go, even to visit the last place on Earth.
Hi, I'm Polo. I'm 8 years old. I'm a rescue dog off the Navajo Reservation in Monument Valley. I've lived with my folks in Santa Barbara for years, and I love to go to the beach. But in my spare time, I've been invited to become travel dog on atw.tv. So I'm going to be giving you tips about traveling with your dogs. So stay tuned.
I think we're going to the dogs now here on Around the World with travelers. I've heard of the talking horse, Mr. Ed. Never heard of the talking dog, Miss Polo. But here she is in studio.
She's hiding under the desk
now.
now.
Maybe she's not going to be on the camera with us.
Well, maybe not.
Okay. But tell us about you. You're going to start a new segment.
Yes, I am. And I actually will get her up here.
At some point.
At some point.
She's camera shy.
Yeah.
Right now.
She's a little camera shy. She's not usually. Anyway, when you travel with a dog, there's a lot to think. It's almost like traveling with a baby, but you don't have to change the diapers. You do have to remember dog bags, though. But one thing that I learned from a friend that I think is really important when you're traveling with a dog in the car is the harness and the seat belt that you actually put into the seatbelt receiver, like you in the car, and then you hook this thing to the harness, and it does two things. Number one, it keeps them in place. So if you have a dog that likes to wander around the car, it's really nice because they stay in one place, and it's long enough that it's comfortable enough. They can sit down, they can lay down, but they can't get going too far. And second of all, it's a safety feature because a friend of mine told me about a friend of hers who rolled her car, and her two dogs ended up out the window. One disappeared; she never saw it again. The other one broke its leg. And if they're not harnessed in, if they're not secure, it's very simple and very easy for them to have that happen. So this is a super easy thing to do. I got this from Spiffy Dog through Amazon, and this, I think this thing cost maybe $6, nicely made.
Don't you use this on your husband as well?
When he's misbehaving, yeah. But anyway, I think it's a great thing to think about, and I'm not sure that anybody. I'm sure a lot of people think about it, but there's something that, for a dog owner or a new dog owner, this is something, and if you get them used to it early, then they're happy to be harnessed up. So there.
All right. Well, good. We're looking forward to hearing more about Travel Dog and Polo. And now, you've probably been hearing about stowaways. That's been going on for a few centuries, but we have some of the latest news about stowaways. Stowaways are nothing new in the world of global travel. In the 1800s, ship crew members would find stowaways in the cargo. In June 2010, a Romanian 20-year-old male was a stowaway in the belly of an airplane flying from Vienna to London Heathrow. He fell out of the wheel bay area after landing, had some minor injuries, and was taken into custody. He was lucky. 76% of stowaways in wheel bays die. Undercarriages of aircrafts are not pressurized, so often hypothermia, lack of oxygen, or other high-altitude issues can cause death. It's much safer for living and breathing passengers to travel in pressurized parts of the aircraft. Recently, another Romanian was a stowaway, this time aboard a United Dreamliner flight from Heathrow to Los Angeles. According to the Points Guy website, the events that unfolded began with a female passenger who lost her boarding pass at Heathrow's terminal and had the agent print up a duplicate. The Romanian found the lost boarding pass and managed to board the flight. He took a random vacant seat in economy, and it wasn't until mid-flight that United determined there was an extra passenger on board. U.S. Customs and Border Protection met the Boeing 787 on arrival in L.A., and the stowaway was identified and taken into FBI custody. This scenario raises a number of concerns, the biggest being, how did the Romanian get past security checks at London Heathrow, where both boarding passes and identification are checked? The Romanian is certain to be facing some serious charges. For airline travelers, this is a wake-up call that all the checks and balances that they're subjected to are not as effective as they may try to appear. And we're back.
Here's
another stowaway. He's right here on board.
There you go.
Hi.
There's
Did you get on
Travel
board the flight?
Dog.
That's the Travel Dog,
That's
Polo.
the Travel Dog. No,
Polo is a rescue doggy, right?
She is a rescue dog.
Yeah.
We got her. She and her brother at 6 weeks from the Navajo Reservation in Monument Valley, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
She's a very sweet dog.
Can't wait to hear how she travels with you.
She travels very well.
I bet
I've
she
got
does.
lots more tips to tell you about
right.
that. Speaking of tips, this is a really good deal. If you're planning your fall or even winter getaways, now is the time to be looking to book your airplane flights. Apparently, you can get things for as cheap as $264 round trip from the U.S. to Europe.
Really?
And apparently, some of the cheapest
On an
tickets.
airplane?
Yeah, on an airplane. Apparently, some of the
Greyhound?
cheapest tickets include Reykjavik, Iceland, where you can spend like 300. Well, let's see, that one's. Anyway, now is the time. I mean, Boston deals include $264 round trips to Barcelona, $332 round trip to Paris. So you need to get to. But in San Francisco, it's $260 to $280 to Iceland from September to December.
Wow.
So check out there are various airlines that are offering these good flights. And if you're planning to go to Europe, now is definitely the time to buy those tickets.
Wow, that's great. Good tips. Well, I think that wraps it up for Travel News.
Yeah.
Travel News is brought to you by the internet website, www.atw.tv, the first place to go, even visit the last place on earth.
Or you've been.
And we're going to be back in just a second after this break and start out finding out all about Love Match and how to travel with your significant other.
That's right.
Which might be a dog, for all we know. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Colossus of Rhodes, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Just tune in to the award-winning travel show Around the World, live on Thursdays on AM 1290 and at www.atw.tv, with rebroadcasts on Thursdays at 8 p.m. and again on Saturdays at 10 a.m. for the only list that really stands out and can stand the test of time.
Welcome back to Around the World. I'm Arthur von Wiesenberger. Lovely Martha Bowles keeping me in line here on board our beautiful jet as we fly across the globe. This week we have so many exciting things to talk about, but maybe the most exciting thing is talking about the person you travel with. You know, I mean, we all want to travel with people we love, and we love to travel.
And it can ruin a trip if you don't go with somebody that you're compatible with.
Boy, isn't that
It
true?
can really be bad.
It's a great test for a relationship. And someone who knows more about relationships than anybody in the known universe is in the studio with us today. Her name is Dr. Shaelyn Pham, and she's a clinical psychologist from Los Angeles, has a practice down there, and we're thrilled to have her here today. Thank you for coming. Now, we're looking at your book, Love Match, which is a great book to read if you want to know about relationships and how to make them work, right? But when it comes to travel, what have you discovered as far as how to make a relationship work?
I can tell you this. After the first weekend getaway with my now husband, I knew he was the one. And traveling is definitely a form of intimacy. It's an experiential intimacy. And with that, you can also have, there are 4 different forms of intimacy: intellectual, emotional, physical, and experiential. But with the traveling, you have all of it in one package, really.
It's true.
And you're 24/7.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's...
And also, when you're traveling, a lot of time is the itinerary doesn't always go as planned.
usually doesn't.
No. And so it also shows how you deal with the unexpected. And you see how a person responds to it and how you communicate and how you work through it. It really helps to see how you work together, like you said.
Right.
It can make it or break it, a relationship in the long run.
In fact, actually, when there are things that don't fall into place and go wrong, it's a good test for a relationship because you really realize how that person deals with stress, and you have a common experience together that you can look back on, and hopefully, if you're still together, look back and go, remember back when the train fell off the track? Or something like that,
Let's hope that doesn't happen,
Yeah.
but we, my husband and I, we have our moments, and usually I can't really sleep on the plane. And so after a long flight, I get off and I get tired. And if I have to wait extra long for the driver to come, I get, pouty and cranky. And so now we have turned it into a joke. So he would document it and call me crappy pants nowadays.
I'd call somebody that too. That's an interesting thing.
My husband can't sleep on a plane, but I can.
Yeah.
And he's going, Are you awake? Well, I am now.
Wake up. Keep me company.
Yeah.
So if you were going to give us some tips as far as how to make a trip work for 2 people, is there some pre-advanced work you can do before you get on the trip if you're traveling with someone for the first time that you're maybe trying to make a relationship out of?
Absolutely. It's funny, I started a book comparing a relationship, the longevity of a relationship, as in traveling and planning for a holiday vacation. And so it depends on how long the trip you planned to have, if it's 3 days or 3 weeks versus, like, say, a 1-day staycation. It's very different.
Right.
And so how we want to have the trip depends on how we plan for it, just like in a relationship. If you want a long-term relationship, you have to go and prepare. And even, let's say you are a spontaneous traveler, you still have some sort of idea what you want to do. And so I think when it comes to traveling together, you have to expect the unexpected. And
That's half the fun of it.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's where you also, like I said, get to see how the person respond and react to situations. And I think the most important part is, like you said, have fun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time you want to go in and you expect this perfect vacation. And it doesn't work. And you put a lot of pressure on yourself and on each other. And then you end up being disappointed because, we know that it doesn't go as planned as always.
Would you recommend maybe doing a short trip?
I would say start off with a short trip. So you
Because then
don't
you can
kill
ditch
each other. So I say a weekend getaway to start off with,
Right.
and then see how that goes, and then you can increase it up into a longer trip.
Interesting.
What happens when you go on a trip with someone that you don't know, and in the first few days you discover you don't like them?
Yeah.
but you planned out a week together.
That's why you go on a short trip.
No, but say you're already stuck.
I've already
You're-
solved that problem.
You're already
Yes.
on that trip. You're already on that trip. How do you cut your losses?
Well, that's when I think honesty is really important. And I think not just only relationship, in friendship and just in interpersonal relationship as a whole, is say, hey, we planned this out, but we're not really both having fun. So what do you have on your agenda? What do I have?
I have your ticket here on your agenda.
I've got a girlfriend I'd like you to meet. I'll have her come on
Yeah.
out.
Or lots of wines.
Yeah.
Are there places to go that are better for relationship starters than others? Like, is a beach vacation better than going to, say, a Paris vacation?
Well, I think it all depends on the person and what you enjoy, because some people, they like, let's say you're talking about Switzerland, so they like sports and outdoor or mountains. Some people don't like that. So if you don't communicate and you just want to do that, the other person may not have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to communicate with each other.
And then
I did. Early on, I figured out with my husband, his definition of vacation and my definition were quite different. And so we would have to compromise. Sometimes, like, we would do a trip that he wanted to do, and then next trip was my trip.
What's your kind of vacation?
Mine is sitting at the beach
Uh-huh.
with a book and a beer.
Oh,
That's pretty
That's it.
simple. What's his idea?
Oh, he likes to ski and
Do things.
horseback.
He likes
Skiing.
activities.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't mind doing that, but I don't. My idea of
Well, maybe you go and sit at the beach while he's out skiing.
well, sometimes he'll go off and horseback ride or whatever. So yeah, you compromise.
And you meet for
figure
dinner.
out. Yeah, you figure out.
And you can do that. You don't have to do every activity together.
Right.
Because then you end up feeling you are deprived of your own needs or
Right.
the things that you want to do.
Right.
What if you want to, if you're in a relationship, you want to re-inject the passion and the excitement? Maybe you've been together for 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, I don't know. And you want to bring that passion back. Is there a secret to that?
Go to Maldives, get one of those little huts and just stay in there, and that's how you rejuvenate.
Throw away your iPhone.
Throw your phone, everything. Just
That's a really good
disconnect
idea.
from people.
Yeah.
That's what it takes, right? Just
Yeah.
reconnecting.
Yeah.
Because most people get so insulated with other things going on, work and kids, if you've got kids, and other things.
And also just go back to where you started, because a lot of times we get so busy with life, we forget just the 5 minutes of really sitting and connecting with each other and give each other the undivided attention, because right now it's
Takes away everything, doesn't it?
every second of the day.
And maybe planning out a few little things that are thoughtful that
Right.
show
Romantic.
someone that you
Yeah.
care for them. Bring them some flowers or
Oh, absolutely. But
chocolates.
sometimes flower doesn't work for some people too. But the other thing is the courting in a relationship, in a long-term relationship, is really important, because oftentimes people think of, relationship, they think of the day of the wedding and maybe even the honeymoon, and somehow that is, okay, we're done, we got it, we're good now.
Yeah.
But after that is the marriage, is the whole nother series of dating all over again. It's not like, hi, I don't know your name, I want to get to know your name, but there's still mystery in there, and you have to dig deep to learn more about each other, and you have to constantly wooing each other to keep that romance alive.
yeah.
I
Show
write
that
a
you care.
note. I write a note to my husband every morning, an inspirational note
Yeah.
for his
Aw.
breakfast.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, he really appreciates
Go to
it.
hell. Good morning.
Don't wake me up next time.
One morning I forgot to do it, and he came in and he said, "Did I do something wrong?"
Oh,
I said, "No, I just forgot."
he's like Pavlov's dog there. He knows.
You have conditioned him well
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's
great.
But it's true. You do, a marriage or a relationship, it's work.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. When you get married, doesn't mean that it's
No.
going to be.
Right. And don't give up on yourself. Keep working out. Keep looking good.
Absolutely.
Keep healthy.
Yeah. You
I
want
mean-
to be your best.
Yeah. You want to be your best.
And because you want your partner to be their best too.
Mhm.
And so if you both are striving to be your best, well, now we have two bests to come together to make one great
Yep.
relationship.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
It's nice, and I love the way you kind of have like not a survey, but you ask people to kind of rate various things and to determine like what
Yeah.
would be the right person for you and what you could tolerate with somebody.
And also at the end of the book, I have this thorough annual review that you can, doesn't matter which stage in the relationship, you can use that to evaluate which area of the relationship is working well so that you have the positive, and then which area that needs improvement so then you can work on it together.
I'm not sure I want to hear what he's wants.
I can't wait to. Well, yeah, you know, it'd be
I'll look
interesting.
and
I think it'd be a good test.
Yeah,
it's a
I
good
think
test.
you're
Now you have a practice in LA, right?
I do,
You have
yes.
clients, if people want to see you and make an appointment to maybe examine their own relationships, and you see couples.
I do.
Yeah. Wow. So if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to communicate?
They can visit my website is drshaelynpham.com. And also nowadays, social media is a great way to stay connected too.
You'll see that we've tagged, or you're tagged on this Facebook Live video that's going on right now. But also your book is available. It's
pretty much on Amazon and all bookstores.
Love Match by Shaelyn Pham,
cool.
PhD. Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Shaelyn, for
Thank
coming
you
in
for
today.
having
And
me
this
here.
is so exciting. I'm looking forward to.
I-
We're gonna have the rematch after this and see how we do. Can we do a like match? Is this
Absolutely.
No, I love
I
my
do
friend.
match.
There's some improvement.
Very funny.
Just kidding.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go and find out all about international living with Jennifer and find out where the best place to go to retire. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back here on Around the World. I'm Arthur von Wiesenberger, the lovely Martha Bull, on board this beautiful jet plane as we fly across the
Look at
globe.
that plane.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Who's piloting this plane, though?
There
I
is
don't
no
know. It's a bot. And, you know, I can't believe it, but we're getting to that point in life where we might start talking about retirement. Can you believe it? I mean, some of the baby boomers are thinking, no, it's time to think about, where do you want to retire? Do you want to stay where you are? Or are you going to be wanting to save some money, maybe go some places that might be less expensive?
Do some traveling.
And do a little traveling, or maybe become an expat. Well, you know what? We got an expert with us who's going to tell us all about the best places to go internationally. She's executive editor of International Living, Jennifer Stevens. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Well, you know, your timing is perfect because I just got a note from Social Security, and I realized how little money I'm going to get when I retire. So, you know, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, did I save enough? Did I maybe have too many bottles of champagne growing up? But maybe people are starting to think, okay, maybe I should think about living somewhere else.
Where it's a little less expensive.
In the golden years. And you've got a bunch of options, don't you?
We do. You know, I think that the cost of retiring in the U.S. sort of feels like it's getting more and more expensive. And if all you're doing is thinking about what your options are in the States, you're kind of missing out on some excellent opportunities overseas. There are all kinds of places really around the world, in Europe, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, where you can improve your quality of life and spend less than you would to stay home. And so we can talk about a few of those places. But in macro, you know, the thing to remember is that this doesn't have to be, for some people that sounds like a kind of crazy solution and complicated, and the first thing you do is you start thinking like, oh my God, I can't do that for these 100 reasons. But keep in mind that there are all kinds of ways to essentially retire overseas. You can do it part-time. You could do it part-time, you know, maybe even 2 or 3 months a year for as long as you want to do it. You could do it full-time for a few years, and while you're doing it, travel extensively and save money. It's a way that some people, to speak to what you just said, they are worried that they aren't going to get enough in Social Security, that they really would feel a little more comfortable if they had more. One strategy is to kind of hold off on getting that Social Security. The longer you wait, the bigger that check's going to be. And one way to wait is to go overseas and spend a few years spending less and enjoying life more, arguably.
My biggest thing about going overseas is that I would be worried that I couldn't speak the language, and I would feel.
Yeah, and that is a concern, but only the places that we recommend are places where either English is a language that's spoken, or they're places that have expat populations where you can kind of get by without having perfect language. And regardless of where you go, what we always say is you should try to learn the language, and it would behoove you to take some language lessons and do your best. But you never really have to be perfectly fluent, particularly in many of the communities that we recommend where there is a very large expat population. So you kind of have built-in friends who speak English and who've kind of gone before you and figured a whole bunch of stuff out. So it doesn't, we always say, yes, just as a matter of engaging your brain and also being respectful of the local culture, you should spend a little time learning the language, but don't feel like you have to be completely fluent in order to be a successful expat. You absolutely do not.
Now, a lot of people, when they think about, okay, I want to retire, I want to go somewhere that's tropical, beachy, warm, good weather year-round. What would be a couple of options that you might suggest for that kind of retirement?
Yeah, well, a place like Belize, for example, it's not the cheapest place on our beat, but it's close to the U.S. There's a lot of expats there. It's an English-speaking country. It's in the Caribbean, so you've got lots of beaches. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's one excellent option for you. There's another, for example, if you're looking for beach, in Mexico, there's lots of wonderful beaches, both on the Pacific side and on like the Caribbean side of the Yucatan, for example, south of Cancun and that area. Those are just two sort of easy places that come to mind that are close by, tropical, and easy to get in and out of as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Sayulita.
Which we love.
We love Sayulita.
Yeah, what a great vacation destination, but it would be nice to live there for a while, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. I love the food, too. And the tequila.
And there's a lot of Italian food in Sayulita,
Yeah.
which is kind of unusual, so you don't have to just have Mexican food.
That's true. Now,
Right.
some people say, well, no, I'm not really into that. I want something where I'm going to get incredible service and feel pretty safe and luxurious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a place that would fit that bill?
Yeah, for sure. Some place like Portugal, for instance, right now is an interesting option. It's really, in Western Europe, arguably the most affordable spot right now. It's just kind of coming onto people's radar screens, I think. And that is a place that has a wonderful old world European character to it. But it's a lot more affordable than you might imagine. A couple can live well in Portugal for around $2,000 a month. I mean, that's $24,000 a year. In the U.S.,
Wow.
You're kind of looking at living very frugally. But there in Portugal on that, you could live very comfortably, enjoying the wonderful food, the wonderful wines, the porch, you could really enjoy a very European lifestyle for a lot less than you might think.
And Portugal is an even better deal than Spain, because I just got back from Spain and I fell in love with it, and I just think it's one of the most magical places on earth. But Portugal's a little cheaper, I think.
It is a little more affordable than Spain right now, I would say. If we had to sort of use a blunt instrument, which isn't to say there aren't communities in Spain that are cheaper than Lisbon, say, that sort
Sure.
of thing. But generally speaking, I would say Portugal is for sure. If you look at it countrywide, we would say that's the most affordable place in Western Europe.
Now, if we're thinking about something really exotic, and I noticed this on your list, you had a couple of places in Southeast Asia. Tell us about what that would be like to retire to.
Well, one that I like is Penang in Malaysia, which is interesting because it's surprisingly sophisticated. it's a place that is very cosmopolitan. It has a sort of a melding of cultures, and many expats. It was a British colony, and so you find a lot of Brits, and there are also an increasing number of Americans going there. And it's a place where your dollars really, really stretch. It's interesting. It feels like it kind of missed in that sort of cycle of development, or curve of development, I like to think of it as. It kind of skipped a lot of the physical infrastructure that existed, say, in Latin America, and just skipped ahead to Wi-Fi, if that makes sense. It's like everything is brand new. So you have this sort of historical, beautiful old buildings and colonial buildings, but then you also have these modern high-rises that have apartments in them that look like something out of like Miami Vice. You know what I mean? Just sleek and really chic, and they rent for maybe $600-700 a month, like a place that might be 2,000 square feet. Massive.
For how much a month?
Really,
$600 or $700.
like $600-700.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Almost nothing. And so that's a place where it's very interesting. You can really live a very kind of high-end life for a very modest amount. And so that's kind of interesting. And then when you're there, it's such a great jumping off point to go to Vietnam, to go to Thailand, to go explore all of that region of the world. But that's kind of an interesting place that isn't necessarily on people's radar screens. Another one that's extremely affordable would be Cambodia. Phnom Penh, for example. Again, it's sort of this, it's almost taken this giant leap forward in development. And as a result, you've got this, like, you can access this modern infrastructure that's sort of embedded or surrounded by this old world, exotic architecture, and it's really an interesting place to be, and is extremely affordable. A single retiree could live in Phnom Penh in Cambodia very well for less than $1,500 a month, like extremely well.
Wow.
And my other thing besides language is safety, and so you really have to do your homework and make sure that wherever you're planning on going is.
You do. Though we really have a policy of not recommending places that we don't feel comfortable sending our relatives. You know what I mean? Like we or ourselves. We are very careful about that, and safety is something that is I guess I would say it's our number one category, our number one thing we look at.
Wow.
If a place isn't safe, it doesn't matter how convenient or affordable it might be, it's just not someplace we'd send people. But keep in mind, we recommend Mexico regularly, and we will always have people saying to us, well, Mexico's extremely dangerous. And that's using a very blunt instrument. That's like saying, don't go to the United States because the south side of Chicago has a high murder rate. You cannot kind of paint an entire country, and Mexico, using that as an example, is such a very big and diverse country. There's a lot of Mexico that has a lot of expats living in very safe communities there. So you have to be, you're right, you need to consider that. But I would say that you should not be put off by macro statistics that are reported sort of in the mainstream in a very non-discriminatory way. That makes sense.
Right. Great stuff,
Yeah.
Jen, and so useful. So a great starting point for folks who want to explore more about options as far as international living is going to internationalliving.com and following some of your links and what you offer.
Yeah, I hope you will. Absolutely. We spend something we do every year is to kind of assess the retirement havens around the world and rank them. We categorize them. It's a really nice tool for people considering where they might want to go or where they might be able to afford and that sort of thing. And that's on our website. You'll find that usually it's on the front page there somewhere. It's our retirement index, and that's a great tool for people.
Well,
So
great.
that's internationalliving.com.
Thanks
Got
so
it.
much,
Thanks, Jennifer.
Jen, for coming on, and we'll hope to have you back again on another edition of Around the World.
I hope so. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Kat Pollen is going to take us to Gstaad, Switzerland. Not a cheap place to retire to, but you'll want to find out more about it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I don't know where I want to retire to after that last segment. I
But
think,
there were a lot of good options.
Yeah, I maybe we're going to retire to each one of those places.
I think I
and
would
check
do
out.
it briefly
Yeah.
before I decide. I don't think I would want to like move and plan to never come back.
One place I could retire to for my life would be Switzerland. Because I could spend a lot of years there. I love skiing. I love Swiss food. I love the Swiss people. And we have someone who's going to tell us all about one of the great spots in Switzerland, Gstaad, Switzerland. Joining us is Kat Pollen. Hello, Kat.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, well, you got my attention. When you said Gstaad, I fell in love.
Well, I first met you and your skiing buddies there. We happened to be there at the same time, and in the winter. And these guys, for all you watchers or listeners, are the greatest skiers I've ever seen. I mean, it was amazing how you guys can ski. But I recently went there in the summer for a change, and it's very odd to see a landscape that you've seen under snow for 20 or 30 years, and totally green. And I mean green. People talk about going green. This place is beautiful.
Lots of flowers?
Yes, the flowers are neon. And speaking of the retirement, Switzerland has plenty of places to live that are not, international jet set and all that nonsense. Even Gstaad itself has places that are reasonable for any budget. And but there's wonderful. I wish I could name some now, but it's a beautiful country. I think they have a decent political situation. I think in every respect, it's a very good place to retire. They didn't used to let foreigners in because there were too many foreigners buying up property, but this was years ago. I think they're much more generous about it now.
Yeah, because you used to have to prove you had a certain amount of money before they'd even let you plan on
but
living
it's,
there.
It's not just richy rich. It's everybody. Everybody goes there, and it's very international, as you know. And we were riding the ski lifts up to our club in the snow. In the summer, and it's just these lovely cows with their cowbells. Every time they move, the cowbell goes.
That's the Eagles Club, right?
Yeah.
Which is legendary. I think Gunther Sachs and a lot of designers and celebrities make that their stomping ground. Right?
Oh, yeah, the manager of the Palace Hotel, which I like to recommend over the Alpina, because the Alpina is very cool in James Bond, but the Palace is more Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful club, and it's a beautiful ride up there on a ski, because the only way you can get up there is walk or ride the ski lift, and lazy me would always ride the ski lift.
Isn't the ski lift and that run private to the club?
No,
or is that public?
Anybody can. There's a restaurant just below the Eagle Club
So
where you can ski down to or walk down to, and ski down the rest of the mountain. And it's a very good restaurant. And then the Eagle Club, but it's owned by the Eagle Club, the ski lift. But everybody pays the same amount to go up, and anybody. It's not one of these exclusive. I mean, they talk about it that way, but it's really very nice. The people are very nice.
I used the Eagle Club cashmere blanket that John got me when he first met you every night when I'm watching TV.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Every night.
Yes, I remember your buddies were quite good in the shopping department. A wonderful gift shop up there.
Professional shoppers. The Gstaad Palace is a legendary hotel, and they have great food, and they have a spa.
That's right, and a hammam, which is the Arabic version of a spa, which is fabulous. You can have a double hammam if you're with a boyfriend or a husband or wife or whatever.
What does that mean? What's a hammam?
I guess it's their word for spa. I guess
it's like a steam room, as I recall.
But
it's
there's
a private room.
There's several rooms actually that they do different degrees of the massage, and it's very.
Well, you got into some hot water with some of the ski boys. They had a wonderful stainless steel jacuzzi and swimming pool.
Oh, the lobster pot.
Yeah, it's like a lobster pot.
It really
but
is.
But it's so beautiful, and the water is so clean.
And it's nice to be out there when it's snowing.
Which is amazing. You're sitting in the snow, and there's steam billowing up around you. You're warm, but it's freezing out. It's terrific.
Does it have minerals in the water?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ones.
But they probably
one from the grounds, but they don't have. It's not a mineral
But it's
spa.
not, okay.
But it runs in the summer as well, and they have an outdoor pool, a huge pool with different heights of diving boards and all this wonderful buffet. And they also have a polo team, and there's polo matches in the summer.
And the winter.
What?
They play polo in the winter there too, I think.
Oh, I had
No,
that's
that's
in
up in
St.
Gstaad.
Moritz.
That's in St. Moritz, yeah,
Oh, okay,
on
okay.
the lake there.
But this one is, I think it's only in the summer. But
You said they also have volleyball.
they have beach volleyball.
Well, where's the beach?
They
How
have
do
a
they have
yacht
beach in
club.
Switzerland?
They have a yacht club
Yeah.
and a beach volleyball team. Well, it's not about the volleyball; it's about the girls in bikinis, like every other beach.
That's my favorite sport.
Yes, there you go. So I've never seen that, but they have an ice skating rink. I don't know if that works in the summer, but I think that's where they have the beach volleyball, and they have a yacht club. I think people just like to go there and talk about their yachts or something because it is a landlocked place.
Yeah, I was wondering where you could put boats. Is it family friendly? Or is
Yes.
it more adult?
Yes, and even though I crab a lot about screaming kids, I love to see the little children in their ski outfits in the winter. They're so adorable.
Yeah.
And they cry, but then they get used to it. And if they're not used to it this year, they'll bring them back next year when they're a year older. And they're very good skiers, the little children.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
really are. I'm ashamed to say because I'm not as good as they are, but it's very nice and it's very pet friendly. Very.
Wow, that's always good to know.
That's nice.
One of our viewers just mentioned that through Facebook that Haman is Arabic for restroom.
Really?
So that sounds
Thank
very
you.
romantic, sharing a restroom together.
It loses something in the translation.
Maybe so,
And thank
maybe
you,
so.
viewer, for bringing that out. I didn't know that.
The food is phenomenal
Yes.
at the Palace Hotel. And they do those buffets that are just amazing, like the seafood buffet. I mean, I just saw any of
That's
the food and I
correct.
ate it. It was that kind
The
of
seafood diet?
yeah.
Well, now, what part of Switzerland is it? Is it the German? Is it the...
Well, it's in the German
Yeah,
canton. and,
Bernese Oberland.
right. And
And there is skiing nearby, even in the summer, if you go up to the Lake Diableré, to the
well,
glacier.
it's 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
And usually you can ski into June and July.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. And the snow isn't as quite as a given as it used to be. I don't know if that's climate change or whatever, but that changes back and forth. But nowadays, you're not for sure going to have snow, but they make snow if they have to on the runs.
Right.
And it's best for the intermediate skier. I'd say I don't know. There are runs for advanced skiers. Like you had a good time there, didn't you?
Oh, we had a great time. And it wasn't that it was super experts slopes. They were fun, friendly slopes. But after a few glasses of schnapps, that's all you want to be on is a nice intermediate slope.
And schnapps is in abundance there for all
Yeah.
you schnapps fans.
Oh, and good Swiss wines that you never see outside of Switzerland because they don't export any of them.
Nope.
They keep them for themselves, which I understand. You can get a little
Oh.
bit of a nice white wine from the
I didn't know
Valais
that.
Canton or Canton of Vaud, and they're just wonderful.
And it's easy to get around the country. It's a small country. It's surrounded by the mountains, which the Nazis didn't know how to get through. So they're very high mountains and sort of itself, and it's easy to get around and try
Terrific
the
train
different-
system. If
Yes,
you can get the
yes.
Swiss Rail Pass through myswitzerland.com, which is a great website to find out all about Switzerland. But you can get your rail pass and literally land in Zurich and get off the plane and onto the train and never have to worry about cars.
We have just a minute or two left, and you wanted to talk about a little
Well-
hotel here in Santa Barbara.
The hotel I usually stay in is still under repair, so I'm staying at the Hotel Californian, which is on State Street. It's not California like the Eagle sign.
I
It's
was gonna say,
Californian.
You can check out, and you can leave.
Yes. And it's very beautiful, and the staff is so nice, and they do everything online. So if you want to find out about prices, it's not a bad price point for an average thing. Anyway, it's thehotelcalifornian.com, and they have all the information that people would want to have. And I just highly recommend it for people who come to Santa Barbara, or even Santa Barbarans who want to take a few days off. And
I've stayed there. I love it.
yeah,
And what's nice about it, it's in the funk zone, which
Yes,
is
that's
down by
right.
the beach.
Yes.
And it's completely revitalized now. So there's all sorts of new stuff, new restaurants and new wineries and new shopping. So it's really, you're kind of in the heart of the cool new spot in Santa Barbara.
And we ate at the Blackbird there, the
Right.
hotel's main restaurant last night, and they have very interesting dishes and very good, very, very good.
They were good.
Yeah, And it doesn't cost the moon.
Right.
And the rooms it's done in a sort of Moroccan themed kind of, but in a modern way. It's very nice.
Is there a hammam there?
There is a spa. They call it a spa. I don't know if they have a hammam, but they do have restrooms.
Yeah, yes. one per
Well, that's
room.
good to know. Thank you for that tip, Kat.
Well, thanks for letting me.
And we're going to be going down to the Funk Zone tomorrow and trying out.
Yes, we are. We're going to
Loquita.
take her to Loquita, which
we got
is
lots of
a little
excitement
Spanish
here.
tapas restaurant.
It's great when you
wonderful.
can enjoy your own hometown, wherever
That's
that
right.
might be. All righty. Well, thanks so much. And
Well, thank you.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Martha Bull's going to take us to Spain. We're going to go to Madrid and Marbella.
Marbella.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I don't know who's on second. What's on third?
He guarantees that.
Welcome back to Around the World. Martha Bull is right here making me laugh, as usual. And I'm Arthur von Wiesenberger, and we're having a great time. This trip has been just so good. I don't want it to end, but we're almost coming to the end.
That's right.
Are we saving the best for last? Well, I don't know. Certainly one place we want to go. You've been there, Spain, Madrid, and Marbella, and you came back
I survived
with
to
a
tell the
smile and with money in John's pocket still.
That's right.
So tell me, how did you
Okay,
do?
so we, as I mentioned on the last show, we went to Malaga first, which is on the southeastern part of Spain, and we decided to spend the last day that we were in Malaga and go down to Marbella, which is about 45 minutes by car. So we took a cab and went down to Marbella. I guess it's called Marbella Beach. We went to Nikki Beach Club, which is kind of a cool, hip place. It's like sort of where you want to go to see and be seen. Very, very trendy, great music, kind of that like Studio 54 of
it's like
current.
a nightclub on the beach.
On the beach.
Except everybody's in bikinis. Well, except for the guys.
And
some guys.
everybody was
Probably.
looking pretty good, and it was just a fantastic time.
Food was good?
The food was fabulous. I had oysters, and I can't remember quite what else I had, but it was
Wine?
beautifully served.
A little rosé?
I had a little champagne. I think John had a little glass of rosé, and it was just really special.
So you just park yourself there?
Yeah, and
you have lounge
you could
chairs?
sit by the pool in lounge chairs, on lounge chairs, or you actually can have these great kind of oversized beds, with wood panels, and then they'll put a cover over it if you don't want too much sun. And then you could also go down to the beach, although the beach looked kind of a little bit rough.
You mean like dirty?
Like it was no. It just looked like it was going to be
Ocean
kind of
was
a
rough?
strong, strong currents. A lot of folks going up and down the beach selling stuff too, which I find kind of annoying. So we just avoided that. But it was definitely a fun scene. And I guess Nikki Beach, they have a number of them. There's one in Ibiza and Saint-Tropez and
Puerto Vallarta,
all
south
over.
of France.
And I think they started in the 80s or something, or the 90s. I don't know.
It's a very popular.
Anyway, so then we took the cab back that afternoon, and the next morning we took.
Was that a cab or Uber?
It was a cab. Yeah.
Did you try Uber?
We didn't try Uber when we were there. I think we might have tried. No, we didn't. We just did cabs when we were there. But we caught the train the next morning to Madrid, and it's about 3.5 hours, and it's a high-speed train, really clean. The attendants are really nice, and they provide food for you and drinks if you'd like. And as you pull out of Madrid, and as you're pulling out of Malaga and you're heading towards Madrid, it seemed like for the first hour and a half of the trip, as you looked outside the windows, it was olive oil trees. and olive oil trees, and
Olive
more
oil
olive
trees.
oil. I mean, there must have been 1 million olive oil trees. I mean, that's a big area for
Are those also like olive trees?
olive oil trees. Yes, thank you. Well, that's what they
Maybe
made.
it was like the oil rigs,
They
you know?
had these
Olive
bottles.
oil, olive oil,
Yeah, right.
olive oil.
No,
Sorry.
olive trees.
Yes,
Sorry. Thank
okay.
you very much. Anyway, but it was fascinating that I mean, it just kept going and going and going and going. And
Kind of like
kept
you,
going.
like the Energizer Bunny right here. Yeah.
But anyway, and so then when we got to the train station in Madrid, we grabbed a cab and went to the hotel. We stayed at a place called Hotel Grand Inglés. It's in Old Town Madrid, you know, in the cobblestone streets. And in order to get there, you have to sort of go around the block a bunch of times because it's only one way, you know, very narrow streets. And this hotel, I think it was from 1886, but it had been recently remodeled. And I'll tell you that is one fabulous hotel. The rooms are exquisite. No stone is left unturned in terms of just convenience and comfort and just artistically, just beautiful. Walked in the corner of our room, there's a guitar. So my husband got to play guitar, which, I mean, I don't think I've ever checked into a hotel before where they've got a guitar waiting.
I've never
for
even
you.
heard him play guitar. I didn't
Yeah,
know
he plays guitar.
What about, how did you find the hotel? I mean, literally.
John,
how did you locate it?
he was the one that went on the web and just started researching hotel after hotel after hotel. And this one was so new that he wasn't even sure if they were open. They promoted it, but he wasn't even sure if they had actually opened. So it was basically brand new. They have a really nice sitting area, like kind of a living room area downstairs in the lobby, and then they have a beautiful bar. One night we were only there 2 nights. The first night we were there, we decided to have a drink before we went to bed, and met the sommelier, and he sat there and talked to us. Well, the next night he suggested we eat at the restaurant, and he ended up serving us. And we were treated like kings and queens with the food, and he didn't bring us normal portions. He brought us a whole lot so that we could taste everything, and the food was unbelievable. Lots of fish, lots of fresh produce, and with each thing, he would, you know, give us a little bit of wine from the region and tell us all about it, and it was really a fun experience. And we did go to the Prado. You can't go to Madrid and not go to the Prado Museum, which is where the classic, you know, like the classic artists have done. And I'm not an art buff at all. I think that I must have seen like 500 pictures of the Last Supper, paintings of the Last Supper, and then there's a lot of Jesus Christ on the cross. And then there were a lot of British men looking all stuffy with dogs, and then women with lots of jewelry. And after a while, I mean, you know, I was there for about an hour and a half, and it's just
how many Last Suppers can you take?
I know, it was just, and it was beautiful. You know, give me. I prefer like Matisse and Monet. You know, that's kind of more my art. And so, you know, room after room after room, and you know, I know it was fantastic, but you know, being art illiterate was just, it was enough. But what we like to do when we go to any place is get recommendations of restaurants from people that you talk to, and I find that if you talk to people, you know, that are from there, they'll give you their opinion and maybe even tell you about restaurants that, you know, maybe you wouldn't normally go to, but they're really good and really fun. So that I would definitely recommend that you do that, because that is, you know, it's kind of like one step beyond. You want to be, you know, find out not just the tourist things to do, and you sort of want to venture out and explore that. We found a great, we just saw a picture of John and me at the bar that night. They're in Europe, they're big on making, you know, signature cocktails. Well, I guess they do it here too, but really, really fun. I mean, everything about it. And again, the thing I love about Spain is you don't go out to dinner much before 10 o'clock at night. And that's sort of, you know, here, everybody's already going home. No, you're just starting your evening.
Going home? How about going to bed?
Yeah.
Been asleep for an hour.
But
yeah.
There were a lot of fun little shops in the area that we stayed, and we bought a few things. And they were having some sort of an art exhibit using recycled materials. So every little shop all along the various streets had decorations, you know, all different decorations, and we couldn't understand what it was all about, but they were surely getting into a lot of, you know, they were all excited about these I mean, I think there's some pictures there that you can see, but they, whatever. It's sort
Did
of like
you buy anything? Oh, I think you did.
I did
You
buy
bought
it.
a donkey.
I did.
Amongst other things.
And we've got a bullhead too.
Did you?
Yes.
Which goes with the last name.
The
Perfect.
straw in this shop. It was this really cute shop that had been open for about a week, and they had all. It was very eclectic. And on the wall, which was bare brick wall, they had the various animals that were literally made out of straw, substantial straw. And there was a bull with this little tongue hanging out. So, of course, being the bulls, we had to get that as well. Anyway, I would.
That's no bull, folks.
That is that you're hearing it from the source. And then we flew out of Madrid Airport, which was super simple to get to. And although the taxi cab driver from the hotel, he nearly killed us about 3 times. He was just whipping in and out. And I don't know how you can avoid a taxi cab driver
Call
like
Uber.
that. Yeah. Anyway,
You can rate him.
so it was fun, and I would highly recommend. I loved Malaga. I would like to spend more time in Madrid next time too. It's a city.
Yeah.
Malaga is kind of less of a city. I mean, it is a city, but Madrid's more of a
City.
central area. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm ready to go. Maybe forever. I don't know. Folks, I can't believe it's time to wrap up this show and cool our jets. We thank you all for watching, and we want to thank all of our guests, Kat Pollen, who took us to Gstaad, Switzerland, Jennifer Stevens, who told us all about international living in places like Costa Rica and elsewhere in the world, and Shaelyn Pham, our author of Love Match. Just love that. Also want to thank our director, Michael Nicholson, and our floor director, as well as editor Ken Baxter, and all the folks at TVSB that make this show possible. Also, remember, you can watch us on www.atw.tv, as well as on AM 1290, the Santa Barbara News Press radio station. We'll be back next time, and we're going to be going to find out all about Southern California Wanderer, a new show from KCET. Their host is going to be up here, as well as Richard Torrens coming back from Asia to tell us all about his adventures. So we got some great stuff in the pipe, and we meanwhile wish you happy trails.
Thank you for traveling with us today on Around the World. We hope you'll join us for another adventure next week. In the meantime, all of us at Around the World wish you happy trails.